Now, a former mayor of Shrewsbury, whose daughter became addicted to alcohol and died, says she's on a mission to stop children from making the same mistakes her daughter did. Jane Mackenzie says it's vital that young people learn about the dangers of drinking alcohol and the effects it can have on their brain before they reach adulthood. Jane's been taking part in the Crucial Crew scheme this year, which we'll come to, and it raises awareness about all sorts of dangers for children, and she wants more schools to get involved. She's already done a workshop at the Martin Wilson Primary in Shrewsbury.
Just shout out and tell me any sorts of alcohol that you know.
Beer, vodka,
Wine,
tequila.
yes. Here's a picture of Amy when she's a little bit younger than you. She was an amazing little girl. She was funny, she was clever, she had loads of friends. She is the reason that I'm here today, because I know that Amy wouldn't want you to make the mistakes that she made, and she'd want to save you from what happened to her.
It was really nice of her to come and tell us that to be careful around alcohol and not to do what Amy did. And if anyone does offer our alcohol, then we should tell an adult or someone we trust.
I think I learned quite a lot from what alcohol can do to you. And if someone offers it me and as I'm this age, I would definitely say no, because I do not want those effects.
I would not drink alcohol, even if I was the age that you can drink it, because of the negative effects that it can cause.
Right. Jane Mackenzie joins me in the studio. Hello. Thanks for coming in. Let's talk about Amy, first of all. And what happened?
Well, Amy developed an addiction to alcohol, and as a family, we weren't really aware that this was happening. We found out when she really became an adult that she had a problem. And if I'd realised when she was at school as a teenager, we could have done a lot more. We could have stepped in and helped her.
So it started as a teenager, did it?
Yes, that's the whole point of the workshop, which is called Amy's Story. I explained to children how Amy did start drinking when she was just a teenager. And like many teenagers, she kept secrets, and she kept that as a secret from us. She didn't want us to know. And she was ashamed. So we didn't know how to help her. We didn't even know that she had this issue, which is why, for me, it's really important to talk to parents as well as talking to children about the risks. And of course, then I didn't realise how dangerous it was for teenagers to drink alcohol. And I didn't realise that alcohol affected the brain as it does, particularly all the research around teenage brains. Alcohol's far more damaging to a young developing brain than it is to an adult brain. So it's really, really important for parents to understand that and keep their kids safe.
Can you talk me through what Amy's drinking looked like, as an adult? How was it affecting her day-to-day life?
Well, whereas as a teenager, she would have gone to parties. We lived in Abu Dhabi. She would have had parties and barbecues on the beach and drunk with other kids. And then it was a social fun thing. But when she became an adult and it became a problem, we never saw her drink. I never saw Amy drink from the age of about 25. She was so full of shame, and it was making her so sick. She drank behind closed doors, which is absolutely typical of anyone addicted to alcohol. So alcohol makes you become a loner. It takes away your social networks and supports the very things that could help you overcome the issues and talk about it and get help. So Amy would retreat. Amy was an extremely sociable person, charismatic. She could relate to anybody. She loved social situations, but alcohol took all that from her and put her in a place where she couldn't get help. She wouldn't talk about it. She isolated herself. So I don't really know I didn't see her drink from the age of about 25.
So she lost her life to alcoholism, did she?
Yes, it swallowed her up. I feel like it had her around the neck in a grip, and it just dragged her down. And at that time, we were realising that there was a problem and looked for support, as Amy did too. and there just was very little support out there. It isn't really understood to be a medical condition and a brain disease, a chronic condition. So it doesn't have the services that you normally would have with other chronic conditions. And again, 3/4 of people who are addicted never ask for help because they're so ashamed of it. They just hide away. And like Amy, a lot of them die.
Dreadful. How old was she when she died?
She was 37 with so much to give. Everybody loved Amy. I miss her all the time.
I'm sure.
And that beautiful, charismatic, funny, clever girl was just stripped to the bone by alcohol.
You've been working with Crucial Crew. Just explain who Crucial Crew are and what kind of message they're putting out.
Well, they're a great organisation. So they've been around for a long, long time. And every year they run an annual event over a fortnight. This year it was in the flax mill in Shrewsbury, and they take all year 6 children from Shrewsbury and North Shropshire, and they give them a day at Crucial Crew where they visit different workshops through the day and learn about different life skills and dangers and how to keep themselves safe. So it's quite a chaotic, a full-on experience for 2 weeks. The 2 weeks that I delivered the workshop this year with a fantastic group of volunteers. So it was a lot better this year than last year when I did it alone.
What reaction do you get when you go into these schools and talk to the children about alcohol?
When I first started doing the workshops, Amy's story was just a small part of it. And then I'd tell them more facts and figures. And I realised almost immediately that the thing that engaged them was Amy's story. She is the unique point in this. And I tell them that this is a real story and that I'm Amy's mum. And it immediately engages them, gets their attention. And I weave anything that I want to tell them about keeping themselves safe and understanding about what alcohol can do. I weave it into Amy's story because it's all part of her story. And I think that's what the children remember. And I think that's why it makes it so special for them.
Do they ask lots of questions?
They do. I mean, it's quite an emotional roller coaster for them because the actual story, it doesn't end with Amy's death, but I do tell them that Amy died. So for them, it can affect them. Sometimes they come and give me a hug afterwards, say they're sorry, or they'll ask me really interesting questions because I say, ask me anything you want about Amy. I just love to talk about Amy. I love to hear her voice mentioned. So they'll say, how old was she? Why didn't she tell you she was drinking? Could you have helped her? Or they might say, what was her favourite colour? Anything. And it's so fresh.
They don't have any filter at that age, do they?
No, they don't, which is great. I love that.
And we've been talking about the fact that we need to get the messages through to children at a very young age. What sort of age should we be talking to them about alcohol?
Well, I think that year 6 is a good place to start, which is 11-year-old children in their final year of primary school, just before they take that big step into secondary school where they have more independence and are more exposed to other people who might be trying to influence them. And then in secondary school, I think it's vital as well because that's when kids are going to want to rebel, to do other things. And their parents are really important here and the school in helping to protect children and so they understand the risks and can support them. Because I think as a parent, looking back, I had no idea how dangerous alcohol was. And I was also one of those parents, kind of trendy parents who thought, well, in France, they introduce alcohol to children, a sip of wine, maybe when they're 15 or so with a meal. Maybe that's a better way of doing it. And now I know from looking at the research that isn't the case, that all the evidence says if children start drinking before the age of 15, they're 4 times more likely to become dependent drinkers as adults.
Seriously?
Wow, yes, that's a
huge, a massive thing.
And it was a huge longitudinal study with tens of thousands of kids over a 10-year period that's demonstrated that. So that's goes against the myth that we think. And also, I didn't understand that there's so much research now about the damage it causes to a vulnerable, fragile, growing adolescent brain.
Do you think that's what happened to Amy then? It was just because
Yeah.
it was because people go, oh, well, why do you drink? There's could be a million reasons. And you think it was because she started drinking early?
I do, because I could see, I mean, I'm a speech and language therapist by profession and work with people with neurological problems and issues around brain function. And I could see things that I thought reminded me of the patients I used to see. Her memory was poor, her concentration was poor, she couldn't retain information. And this is while she was still at secondary school.
Gosh.
And again, the evidence is showing that drinking young impairs your concentration and means that your academic results will be poorer. And also you're exposed to risky behaviour.
Yeah.
If you're at a party and you've drunk too much, that you're likely to be younger when you have your first sexual experiences and more subject to risky behaviour.
Yeah, and not necessarily a good one if it's
no
drunk.
And these are not the things that tend to go into the statistics. That tend to be not the things that parents might realise as being a risk of drinking alcohol younger.
How are you getting a message out to the parents then? How is that happening?
Well, that's something that we want to, as a charity, we want to do more in that area, because we can't, there's no point just talking to kids without talking to their parents, because parents like me were well-meaning, but we didn't understand the risks. And I don't want to, this isn't about telling people what to do. I just want there to be an even playing field for parents to know what the dangers are, to know what they're dealing with.
It's an awareness, isn't it? Because like you said, you didn't have the awareness.
That's right. And then I want to give the power to them to make the decisions, informed decisions themselves. I mean, I didn't really realise that alcohol was toxic and a poison. That it's actually a poison we're putting into our bodies. The World Health Organization is now saying no level of alcohol is safe.
Because it puts your body into a state of inflammation, doesn't it?
Oh, well, it does. It puts pressure on the liver, but most importantly, it goes straight up to your brain, slows everything down. In everybody, even the smallest amount. That's why you sort of coordination's poor. You can't think clearly. You say and do stupid things. It's your brain that's taking the damage from the impact of the alcohol. And there's so much research out there now. And newspapers used to say, have a drink of red wine, it's good for your heart. Well, that's been completely disproved, but these sorts of myths still circulate. And
There's a lot of misinformation out there, isn't there?
I just want the public to know the truth about alcohol.
And what about businesses? Because you want businesses to get involved?
I do. So, we want to put an invitation out to businesses, because we have a sort of long-term aim, which is Live Free Shrewsbury. We want to encourage businesses to also join us in challenging some of these myths. So don't give champagne as the top prize. Don't give tokens to buy alcohol to your employees at Christmas. Think twice about encouraging them to drinking something that's actually toxic and a poison, and instead encourage well-being, mindful drinking, all the other zero alcohol choices that are available now. And at festivals and other situations like that, I want to work with festival organisers to promote well-being, and let's look at all the wonderful choices we've got now where your brain isn't affected and isn't damaged, and actually you're enabled to live a longer, a happier life, because you're looking after yourself better.
I'm curious as to know, as a family, is alcohol, do you drink, any of your family members?
Yes, some of my family members drink. I wouldn't want to be prescriptive or try and influence them. I just think the example's the best thing. And I occasionally have a drink as well. But I'm actually thinking of going out completely alcohol free, because it's just so beneficial to you.
Your body.
And if you're in recovery, you can't drink alcohol because your brain is sensitized to the alcohol. And I think that is a difficult thing for a lot of people who want to get into recovery, is the knowledge that really alcohol's not going to be for them, because it will trigger them to start drinking in an uncontrolled way.
If schools or parents want to get in touch with you or want to know more, how do they do that?
Well, the best way is to email us at shareshrewsbury@gmail.com. But I would really like to invite secondary schools to come on board, because we're doing a pilot in the autumn, and we would like a secondary school in Shrewsbury or nearby to step forward and let us run a pilot workshop with your year 8 school kids, and also to work with and support the parents and families of those school children. So please, it's a challenge I want to throw out to secondary school head teachers or academy leads to come to us and get us to come and give you some support and run a workshop.
Thank you for coming and talking to us. I know it's not easy. Jane Mackenzie, if you've been affected by any of the issues you've heard, you can call the BBC Action Line in confidence on 0800 110 100, and they have details of organisations that can help, provide help and support. Calls are free from a landline, but mobile operators will charge. Lines are open 24 hours a day, and all